So but that's interesting that they're bringing it back. And
Yeah, at least at my daughter's school they are, which is, yeah. I don't know if they tried to kill it or.
Well, the last I had heard, like it was done. Like they weren't going to do any of that.
Nobody uses it for.
They were getting rid of the curse.
Hello again.
Don't bother me. I'm just gonna snap out a cough drop. But
I was gonna wait. I had to do it.
Jerk. I'm Craig.
John.
Welcome back to ConBroSationalists.
Yeah.
As I said in the last episode, I got something going on.
Some stuff.
Some schnoz and schnozberries in the schnoz areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a poet and didn't know it.
Yeah. And you're continuing.
Yeah, well,
better have schnozberries than gooseberries.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
What was that in? No. Yeah, it was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original. And the schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to be eating these. That's...
Yeah. You also don't want to know what the gooseberries taste like.
Yeah, that's right. Or the dingles.
Or the dingles.
All right, so we want to... I don't know that I have the brain capacity to philosophize, so I'm going to open this up and you can grab the sack and I'll reach into your sack.
Yes.
This time.
I love when you reach into my sack. Did you vacuum seal this thing?
No, it's just been that long since we...
I had to put some air back in it. Had to put some air back in my sack.
Gotta blow in it, huh? All right, let's see here. Let's see, what do we got? Winner. Winner, chicken dinner.
Don't read it upside down.
Segwaga now.
And then you pull it.
Segwaga now.
Then you pull it upside down.
Right?
I mean, that was perfect.
Yeah, like don't do it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Segwaga now.
Yeah, I think that's languages.
Oh yeah. Languages.
That was good for me for being over.
Yeah,
I thought it said lasagna at first.
Almost.
Like, you're going to be on your own on this topic.
But I like lasagna too. So, languages. Wow, that's kind of an interesting one. We don't have a big giant trash can because we're in a.
Yeah, we got the mini brew.
Let's see if I can get it in a little mini brew. Nope, I missed.
We got it's because it's the mini brew.
Yeah, let's try. Well, and then it doesn't have the giant opening like the other one.
That's why
It just got the little.
And you need it.
Yeah,
You play basketball as good as Shaq did. If you're not dunking.
Well, that's all right, Dennis. I'll be a basketball player like Dennis Rodman. Just pay me like Dennis Rodman because all he did was rebound.
Yeah.
So
oh, he's good.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean he made a full career of it.
So man, languages is kind of a unique one because we talk about all the time. At least we talk about the Bible, right? Mm-hmm. And how it was kind of written in a dead language called Aramaic.
Yeah.
And then it was translated through different other languages, was it Hebrew? And then you have Latin, and then you have English, right? And then you have formalized English, and then you have American English, right? And they're not all the same thing. So, and we were having a conversation at work the other day about, you have one word that can have two different meanings.
Oh, yeah. Especially, I mean, we already live in a fairly diverse part of the world.
Right.
And like the Spanish that they teach in schools here is not what's spoken amongst the public.
No, it's not. It's not the formalized Spanish.
It would probably give you the ability to understand and at least communicate better. But as far as, it's just like our slang,
right?
Isn't correct English. I mean,
but is our English correct English though? Really?
Yeah, exactly. We've got the most. English is, I think, the most botched language. It seems. Like just hearing other people talk and things like that. But
yeah, because it just seems like if you're trying to get a point across, and you gotta think like. All right, I'm going to the store.
Yeah.
right? Is it TO? Is it TOO? Is it TWO? Is it the number 2?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like that one word represents 4 different things. And so, yeah, it gets highly, I don't complex is the word that I want to use, right?
Yeah. Well, there and there.
Right. there, and there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, like I'm going there with there over there.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're taking their stuff. You know what I mean? Like
the possession style of that. Yeah. It's a very confusing language, but I don't know other languages really. I mean,
yeah, I took some Spanish in high school. I took some German in high school.
Yep.
But that was only because I needed to, and I kind of feel like the Spanish that I know now is not what I was taught in school.
Honestly, I think the German that I learned could be used today. Like German, I think German translates very well as far as like what they teach in school to actually what's used.
Right.
We don't have a German population to actually know for sure, but I know the Spanish. I know. I've had, I guess, overheard multiple conversations of like, yeah, that's not how you use that word.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's part of the thing too, is that we understand, you know, like in English, you make a statement and it translates pretty well. But if you make the same statement in another language, because of the way, you know, verbs are done and nouns are given, like the whole sentence gets constructed differently.
Yeah, like the name of the place, I think in Spanish or something like that, would go first before, like, it'd be like business. I'm going there instead of I'm going to this place. Like, it just changes the entire format of the sentence.
So a lot of times when I try and sit and listen to somebody talking Spanish, I get lost, right? Because one, like my old brain is trying to spin around like what they're saying.
Yeah. So
then I've got to listen to it. I've got to translate it, and then I've got to put it in the right context and the sentence structure for it to make sense to me. And that's a little difficult for this old noggin to try and do anymore. So
yeah, and honestly, I don't know any. I mean, I know very, very, very little bits of Spanish that I can't even do that. Somehow I can pick up like key things every once in a while to try to help a customer or something, but for the most part, I can't help you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's just it's that. It's just the way that communication is handled now is all done through the language, right? Through the words and the expression. And that, I think what happens a lot of times too is when you're dealing with somebody who doesn't necessarily speak English as their primary language, and you write something out, you know, like in an email or you send it in a text, there's a lot of stuff that gets lost.
Oh yeah. Because I've done translation on Facebook and stuff like that to try to read what somebody was like trying to sell or something like that, and it makes no sense.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because you don't pick up on like the intonation in the voice, the way that they stress certain characters. You know, so there's a lot of little complexities to a language itself to get it to come across for written versus, you know, verbal.
Which is a disaster. I mean, honestly, non-written or written stuff like text and stuff is a disaster anyways.
Right.
Like, I can send a text to somebody and somebody be like, oh, geez, like that's...
Oh, he's mad.
Yeah, he's mad when... like, that's just how it comes off.
Yeah.
Just because, I guess, the word usage and stuff.
Yep.
Because I've read into that with people, like... golly, what's this person saying, you know? Like,
yeah.
And they were like, oh, no, I didn't mean anything by that. It's just... It's crazy how much you can read into somebody texting you something and being like, well, something's off here.
Yeah. Well, you know, like years ago, I got, I don't want to say in trouble, but I got asked to rethink, you know, when I send an email. Because at that point, you know, I'm very blunt, very straight to the point kind of guy. And I was having to do the same thing in the emails because if I dance around what I'm getting to, like, it gets lost.
Yeah.
So I will always just come straight to the point. So I was like, man, I had to spend weeks and months to try and like reformulate in my brain how I wrote an email. And that's all because the way the written language comes across to somebody who may or may not know me, right? Yeah. And they're like, man, he comes off as kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I'm trying to get straight to the point without writing a bunch of fluff.
Yep.
I don't want to sit there and be typing out an email for 45 minutes when I can shorten it down and get it out in about 3.
And then some of those people just are jerks. I mean,
well, that's true.
There's some people that I get emails from and I've also like talked to them on the phone and stuff, and they're just kind of assholes.
That's just the way they are.
Yeah. And then you talk to like other people in the company. It's like, oh yeah, no,
that's just how this person is.
Yeah, that's just how he is.
Yeah.
And,
That's just how he is, or she is, or they are. Whatever.
Yeah.
In this day and age, you got to include all those. Mm-hmm. All those different.
I wish I would have spent more time understanding Spanish. It would probably benefit me quite a bit.
I think here, it would.
Yeah.
I mean, specifically where we are, because we're so close to El Paso, and we're so close to the border, right?
And at the end of the day, I'm probably not ever leaving the country.
I'm not saying no, but I'm not saying never either.
No, so. I 100% would. I don't think my wife will, though. Like, I would love to go to some other places.
Yeah, me too.
So
where that other additional language would come in handy.
Yeah,
right.
Like I would like to go to Germany and I don't know, quite a few places in Europe. I don't know. There's a bunch of places.
The one thing about the German language, it always feels like they're angry.
Yeah.
Germans and Russian, right? Yeah. Like it always feels like they're angry.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. I mean, it's kind of...
Well, and some Arabic language too.
I'm not trying to pee on anybody's Wheaties, but it's like people like East Coast, like Jersey and Philadelphia.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like... We have a pre-assumption here in the world that those people just think that their shit don't stink and that they're better than everybody else. Because when you hear people talk, like, it's very aggressive.
Yeah.
And even if they don't mean it.
Yeah, and they're very formalized, too. Because, my brother's first wife, he married a gal that was basically born and raised in New Jersey. And, us being from, we're just a small town country bumpkins here in New Mexico. And, we're raised where when you meet somebody for the first time, you give them a hug. You don't keep them at arm's length or whatever. You kind of bring them into the fold. And when we went back there for his wedding, it was very, very formal. And there's a whole lot of people. Yeah, it was
back to the handshake.
stiff handshake and, let me show you how big of a man I am by squeezing the shit out of your hand. But
which that's another. You want to talk about language? That's another form of language.
Yeah. Well, that's that unwritten language, right?
Yeah, like handshakes can be a big deal. I always give what I feel like is a fine amount of firmness in a handshake where. I've shaken a lot of hands in my day, and some of them it's just like, golly, I feel bad for you. That like you just put like a limp noodle out there. Yeah, let me shake it. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
and you get those handshakes from people that you would never think that you would get them from. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. It's always, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a muscle competition at all.
No, you want to let somebody know that you're there,
right?
And not.
I just remember all those
clammy hands.
I just remember all those jokes before, like you'd squeeze them and then you do like that. Hi, I'm from the American Heart Association.
Yeah,
or you'd come up and you'd give them the real like, hi, I'm from the morgue kind of thing. Like what?
Yeah.
But it's like a test of machismo or whatever now. And
it doesn't need to be.
No,
like it needs to be a mutual firmness.
Yeah, like I'm gonna shake your hand. But I'm going to squeeze however hard you are.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to squeeze the crap out of my hand, I'm going to try and squeeze the crap out of your hand. But I generally don't try and do that.
Or I'm just going to lay my hand in your hand while you shake it.
Yeah,
which is the most uncomfortable damn thing.
Yeah, but then you got to do that kind of look them in the eye funny?
Yeah, well, no, because you don't want to lead anybody on.
Don't want to send the wrong vibe. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly.
So that unwritten language you want to have.
I want people to know that.
No, okay, all right,
yeah.
I just know, Nadine and I way back in the day. Man, this has been late '90s. We ended up going to Mexico on a vacation, and I knew enough Spanish to talk to the cab driver to understand. Like he was driving while I think it was his girlfriend at the time, was going to school, and so he was driving a cab to help pay for her school.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so we ended up getting basically a free cab ride out of it because I talked to him and spoke the language. I was like, no, I can't do that. You took us from the airport to where we were staying. Like, I'm going to give you something. So I think I gave him like $20, but was in the late '90s, which back then was a ton of money for those.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but coming into a foreign language or coming into a foreign nation and trying to speak the native tongue has always paid dividends for me. But the one language I couldn't speak was Korean. Right, like I spent some time in Korea, and I
just didn't make sense.
Yeah, no, like they're yelling at me in their language, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying.
You can continue to yell, but I still It's kind of
what we've got here is failure to communicate.
I always feel bad because anybody that comes in that like doesn't speak English, I have to like catch myself. Because I always seem like I talk louder. Oh, right. Like they're deaf. Not that they speak a different language, but that they're deaf, and by me talking louder...
It's going to make them... It's going to like kick in the translation?
Yeah, I don't understand why it is. But like, I know like halfway conversation, like I have to catch myself like this... Me talking louder, it doesn't make any more sense. But
even, coming back to the piece about somebody being deaf... Just because you raise your voice still doesn't mean that they're going to hear you.
That's fair too.
Yeah.
We had customers that used to come into one of my old jobs that they had notepads with them all the time. And they would write down what they wanted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think that's one of those things that, they just kind of adapted to because, when you're non-hearing in a hearing world, it makes it extremely difficult to have that, language unless you come across somebody who knows sign language, right?
Yeah. Which is not very often.
No.
That's not very common at all.
I mean, I know, like, if somebody is doing the alphabet and they're hand spelling things out, like, I can understand that, right? I know enough. Yeah, that's because of Mom, right? She taught deaf education for,
which we are going to try to get...
About 30 years, I think.
We were going to get the kids hooked up with her to teach them at one point, and then that kind of just
kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
She hasn't asked me about it, but I think...
I honestly think just until now, maybe everybody just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah. Well...
But I'd like my kids to know Spanish and sign language for sure. Especially the part of the world that we live in. Like, I don't know. I would always like to go into...
Kicking the camera over there. My bad.
If I ever went to Mexico, I would want to try to learn at least enough of some broken Spanish.
I know enough broken Spanish.
Yeah. My wife's way better at it than I am. But I don't know.
Google Translate for the win.
Yeah, exactly.
In that case, because then you just do it on the phone. You let the phone do whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
technology.
Well, yeah, I mean, the technology is great until it doesn't work anymore, right?
They just started teaching cursive again in my daughter's school.
Really?
Which they hadn't done.
Wow, I heard that they were like getting rid of that entirely because nobody wrote in cursive.
Yeah, she brought some home a couple weeks ago, and my wife was helping. I think my wife was helping her while I was helping my son do his homework, and we're like, didn't they get rid of this? No, we're doing it again, or something like that.
Good.
It's like interesting. I mean, I only use cursive to. I
basically just sign my name, and I don't. That's about it.
Well, that's what I was fixing to say, but I don't even know if you could count my signature as cursive. Like it's not.
Is it like Nadine's signature? It's just this little doctor, like a doctor thing.
It looks like a heartbeat kind of. So,
yeah.
Like it doesn't make any. I don't think there's any letters. Honestly.
It's just a squiggle in a certain pattern, and there you go.
I've signed so much stuff, and now I don't even sign my last name. It's just like I extend the line a little bit, and make it longer.
Yeah.
I don't. When I have to sign like documents, buying a house or something,
right?
It always gets confusing when I'm doing initial compared to signature,
right?
Because then it's just my signature smaller.
Yeah,
like I just can't do it anymore. I would have to like literally think and do the letters instead of just like, I'm done. Like, this is what's
but I mean, I don't write. I don't write a whole lot anymore. Even if I have notes, right? Like I have stuff on my computer where I type into a notepad or whatever, and I keep my notes there.
Yeah.
I don't write much hand stuff anymore, so
I don't either.
So but that's interesting that they're bringing it back. And
at least at my daughter's school they are, which is I don't know if they tried to kill it or.
Well, the last I had heard, like it was done. Like they weren't going to do any of that.
Nobody uses it for.
They were getting rid of the cursive writing, but which is disappointing because there's some calligraphers that are freaking fantastic at it, and that's just that's cursive on steroids.
Yeah. So definitely. I was trying to think of other types of languages and stuff like that, but we covered quite a bit. Yeah,
but there's also that African language where they just click. It's called clicky, right? Like I've watched enough stuff on that. Like I don't understand it. It's just.
I mean, you got to think about it. It probably works similar to what's it called? Little SOS.
Oh, Morse code.
Morse code.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably kind of works similar to that.
Yeah, I never really thought about, doing much research into it. I just heard them, that, and everything has a different intonation. But again, it's another one of those things. Like if you're around it from the time that you're born. Right, and you learn that, and that's just your language. That's your form of communication.
I always think that it's kind of rude of us as Americans that we don't push language more, because if you go to any other country, like they are teaching English, like Europeans are usually fairly well spoken, no matter where you're at.
Yes.
Like that's their secondary language, and they have to learn it. Yeah, it's part of their curriculum.
Whereas here we get offended by, oh, you want me to learn this other? No, I'm not learning that.
Yeah, exactly. That's stupid.
Yeah. Well,
how dare you make me better?
Yeah. I mean, if you ever have to go to a foreign country and travel and you get stranded over there and nobody speaks English, what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have to learn the language of the natives, of whatever the native country is that you're in, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to.
And hopefully you don't end up on some of them native areas, because they'll just flat out.
Oh, yeah. You don't speak the language, you're done.
Yeah.
I forget there's a tribe that has their own island, right, that still has not interacted with anybody in the Western world at all. And they're still highly independent, still highly functional.
Yeah, every once in a while somebody will go over there and try to do like an interview, and then they don't ever come back.
Yeah. Or they'll like send a drone over there and the drone gets destroyed.
Well, yeah, I mean, to them we don't know what this crazy crap is.
Yeah, foreign invader, right?
Yeah, who's trying to kill us?
Yeah. What is this autonomous thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Because they don't have cell phones, they don't have internet, they don't have any of that.
Yeah, no,
those modern day things that we have.
Yeah, they're still spear hunting and.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't have guns. They don't have any. It's all very primitive still.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, for sure. And then, I mean, you've got some languages are harder than others to just understand, period.
Yeah.
You know, like Latin. Latin is one of those that's incredibly difficult to understand.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing that you can think of that language is used for in history?
It's either war or peace talks.
Yeah, I was gonna say the wind talkers, like that whole using.
I would think it was probably more to
like using Native American language to get away from the Japanese, right? Knowing what we were doing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's always the first thing that was such a change the outcome of the war.
Yeah. Well, and it was just one of those things like, I think they discovered it by accident and they're like, oh, well, maybe we can like use this to gain some sort of tactical advantage.
Yeah. And those guys are celebrated like every year. Like,
yeah. And I don't know that there's any of them left.
No,
though.
I think there's one left.
Really?
Yeah. Or the last one just,
yeah, that may be something we have to look at because those guys were.
I know it was getting down to like the last one or two, but there's only.
Well, again, where we live though, we're kind of in the mecca of some of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
we're surrounded by a bunch of Native American Indians.
Yeah, we drive through a reservation. You get to hear every time that we come.
Yep, and you're surrounded by reservation land almost anywhere you go in this state at some point.
Yeah, there's patches of it everywhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we went to that Metallica concert, a huge part of that audience were Native American.
Yeah, well, I mean that's just one of those things
because Arizona's the same.
Yeah,
they've got large reservations too.
New Mexico, Arizona, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of where else has.
There's got to be Utah, right? That Four Corners area.
Well, yeah, I think kind of the southeastern part of Utah.
Yeah.
Because then at some point it kind of transitions from Native American into the LDS or the Mormons or whatever, right? They have, their foothold in a lot of those places. I think Nevada has some. California has some. I'd have to honestly get on and look. I don't know where.
But this part of the world's got to have one of the bigger.
I think we have the higher concentration
of Native Americans.
Yeah.
So
I think we do. So
I guess where Christopher Columbus couldn't get to eradicate.
Yeah. Yep. And of course, that whole thing about what happened with them, led to a new, I don't want to say a renewed sense of viability for them, but I think it garnered a new understanding into what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just the way things go, and as time goes on and as languages evolve, right, the translations get better, so you can bring forth new documents that have been translated that have a little more detail, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like there's more detail in those, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of, not to get out of the subject, but like the technology part of it. Like I was just watching a quick little clip the other day where now they're thinking that the pyramids were maybe built with water, that all that stuff was floated. Kind of like how they dry dock boats and stuff like that.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, to where they were flooding the area and using the water to place stuff.
Huh.
Which I didn't get, like it was just a quick clip, and I don't know if it's like an upcoming documentary about it or what, but it was like a quick little thing, and I was like, wow, that would, everybody's always wondered.
Yeah, that would definitely kind of throw a wrench in the works.
Giant freaking pieces of rock.
Yeah.
Like, well, they've talked about pulleys and all that stuff, but
yeah, because the best theory that I ever knew of was the logs, right? They would have a series of logs, and they would set the logs underneath and roll it, and then they would just move the log, and like that always made sense to me because I was like,
but now they're talking about that maybe they had flooded the area, and then as they needed to go higher, they.
Huh.
So.
Well, you would think though if they did that though that there would be like sediment or
yeah, we would think it maybe
some kind of evidence that would show that,
and maybe it'll be in that story or whatever that I saw. But yeah, like you wouldn't even think about that. But yeah, we do that sort of stuff all the time. So
yeah, well, yeah, I mean that's how a lot of farmers flood their crops is they do flood irrigation.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and why not? I mean, you're moving giant 30-ton boulders or however heavy those slabs are using logs.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you just flood the area and float them or whatever?
Man, that goose. Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't know if that's a thing that's going to come out or what, because it was just a real quick video that I watched, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting concept. Never thought about that. But
yeah.
As we go forward in life and people continue to look into things and technology and all that stuff, like you said, everything unravels a little more and more and more.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Definitely weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're like, that's completely plausible.
Well, yeah, and now you're sitting there like, how did that? Okay, yeah, I can see them doing that.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that being done. But like I said, how are they going to prove it?
Yeah, well, I have no idea.
You know, I'm not saying that they have to prove anything at this point. It's been so far enough that any idea is not all that far-fetched, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who knows, though?
Yeah.
I mean, you dig enough, and I guess you could find out really anything.
Yeah, well, what was it? The Aztecs in Mexico, they lived so high in the like, you know, you have Cloud City and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Lake Titicaca and that whole area there?
Well, and they're still uncovering.
Yeah.
They're still uncovering like massive structures and stuff that have just always been swallowed by the jungle and everything else that they're still uncovering that nobody even knew was there until like just the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Because somebody just happened to stumble across it.
So, well, I mean, that's how a lot of this stuff moves forward, right? And then, you know, kind of keeping on with the languages thing, like one of the ways that they communicated around here was through hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, we were here, this is what we wrote, blah, 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 and you go and you look in caves and you see all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
You get to start tracking patterns and all that stuff and realize, okay, well, this is pretty sure what this meant. And supposedly there's like alien, we were talking about, you know, other life in the last episode, like supposedly there's glyphs and stuff with these alien type figures.
Very well could be.
And things mixed in with some of their stuff, which where would that have come from? Or was it just people that looked different to them?
Yeah.
Showing up to their area.
Well, I mean, but if you think about it, if you look at how some Japanese is written, how some Chinese is written, it can basically be considered a glyph. Yeah. Right? Just because of the way the pattern is. Mm-hmm. I could see that translating as you know, some sort of alien language. Yeah. Right? Because you see them and they've got all this stuff and it's written in blocks, and it looks like, you know, that I could see that being pawned off that way. Yeah. Now, whether that is or not,
who knows? Yeah. And then, I mean, who knows what other types of languages are out there in the world that we don't even know or fathom or.
Well, and I mean, we only know of a handful of all the languages that are out there, right? Then everybody has their own different dialect, right?
Yeah, like the Spanish here.
Yep. or the English. You just move, like the further east and south you go, the more, I don't know, drawn out the words appear to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the more kind of contracted the words are.
And then you've got like the new language where everything is just half-assed.
No cap.
Yeah. And it's just emojis and letters. Yeah, like it just, I don't know.
Instead of you, it's just you.
Yeah, like we're just shortening and shortening and shortening everything that we do in life. Yeah. So we just don't have time for it anymore, apparently.
Apparently, the language is becoming more and more informal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, really, and you look at acronyms, you look at all that stuff. You know, you can say a whole lot of word in 3 little letters.
Yeah, exactly.
LOL.
Yeah.
You know,
which could mean, lots of other things.
Laughing out loud, laughing online.
Yeah.
League of Legends.
I can't remember what it was that we were texting my dad, because we've got a group text, and he kept thinking that something like LOL meant something completely different.
Lots of love.
I don't know if that's. I don't think. I can't remember what he. I don't know. But because he's such older generation.
Oh right, yeah.
Like, I mean, he barely used a computer for the first time, I think, like a few years ago.
Oh wow.
Because we told him, like, you need to change with the time, and like, if you want to know what we're doing all the time, get some social media, like get you a Facebook and all those things, so that you can see the pictures that we post and all that stuff.
Yeah.
To post it there, then to go and text it to you,
or email it to you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, to email a file of pictures to somebody is...
Well, especially now when you have such limitations on what you can send an email anymore. It's, it's kind of gotten ridiculous.
Yeah, and the file sizes keep going way down.
Or in this case, they keep going way up because you got cameras that take such high quality pictures, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. So... What else you got on this one?
I don't think anything else. I think we've kind of covered this one, because languages is just one of those things that for every basically country or nation or neighborhood, you have some form of language that they use for communication.
Slanged out a little bit.
Yeah, and you've got some formal and a whole lot more slang than anything else.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you've got the Webster Dictionary that continues to add.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, I think y'all just got added, like, recently, or maybe it's on the block to be added.
Man, I've been using that word for 40 years.
Like,
no, more longer than that.
Yeah, like, it's common to us here.
Yeah.
But you try to use y'all to somebody else, and they're like, what in the, what in the hell is
that? What in tarnation is that kind of shenanigans?
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know.
But
it's fun.
Yeah. So, I think we'll wrap that one up. Yeah. So, I'm Craig.
I'm John.
We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.